Guys, stop apologizing for being proud of yourself. Sometimes people that talk to me, they'll be like, oh my God, they'll be like, I'm sorry, man. I feel like I'm just talking about myself. I'm like, hey man, listen, it's okay to believe in yourself around me, buddy. Okay? You're giving me hope. When good shit happens to people, I get hopeful. Cause that's the positive about being selfish.
Welcome to FredTalk, where if you're not learning, hopefully you're laughing.
Big kid energy. Welcome to the FredTalk podcast. I am your host, Freddie Valoy. Guys, you guys know this podcast is about uncomfortable conversations in life. Sometimes shit doesn't get done because people doesn't want to talk about it because it makes them feel all, I don't know. I don't want to. I don't do it like that, so that means that's wrong. But that's not what this podcast is about, baby. This podcast is about perspective and different perspectives. And that's what a true Fred head, a regular Fred Talk listener, that's what they appreciate. And as you know, if you follow me on Instagram, I like to put up polls about sex and sex activities and get different perspectives from different genders and whatnot. And that's what this episode is about, baby. All right, I've had a few relationship-based episodes, and today we're having two dudes open up about sex, essentially, and a sex journey. Specifically, you've seen him before, all right? Early Fred Talk guest, Kristian Castro, okay? Today we talk about his sexual reimagination. What does that mean? We're going to tell you. I asked him what sexual reimagination means to him, what he was like before the sexual reimagination, and what he was like after, and what moments were the most important to him. We also talk about therapy. We talk about communication. And I got to give a disclaimer on this one because this is like heavy shit. I know it's easy for me to talk about this stuff, but I understand the gravity of situations. And this is his perspective. And if you're listening past this point, I hope you go in with, fully aware that this is just one man's perspective. So would love to get your feedback on what you guys think, what you agree with, what you disagree with. And most importantly, I really want to open the door for other men and also women. If you feel comfortable, reach out to me. I'd love to have you on the podcast to talk about your sexual reimagination as well. All right. My goal, one of my goals, I think, and I don't think I talk about it enough, is like, in my quest to be a better man, I'm like, this shit just feels great. I feel awesome. I feel light, just pursuing being a good man. And I want to do that for other men as well. So, I push therapy hard, couples therapy, individual therapy, and and also just being better to the opposite sex, because that's something that we're in right now, right? It's like gender, sex, race, all the things I like to talk about. I was thinking about this morning as I'm walking in Baltimore. I'm like, it's like, those are like the Infinity Stones. I'm a Marvel dork. I got a Doctor Strange shirt on right now. Like, those are like the Infinity Stones. What are the Infinity Stones in Marvel? Space, power, mind, soul, and reality, right? Well, the same shit with this kind of stuff, right? For me, at the Fred Talk podcast, the Infinity Gems are sex, race, gender. I think these are things that kind of drive the social zeitgeist, and I think they're things worth talking about. So this is a place where I want to talk about things that people might get uncomfortable with, all right? So without any further ado, and please reach out to me. We talk about some raunchy stuff here, but I think it's super insightful. So let's not get distracted by words and things like that. And let's really listen, and hopefully we can learn. And we also want to learn as well, especially me. So if you have any feedback, please let me know. And if there's anybody that's interested, once again, I really want to open this door. If you feel comfortable enough, I know this is not easy. So please reach out to me, and I'd love to have you on the show. Guys, let's give a big round of applause to the man, to my big brother, Kristian Castro. Yay. Kristian, welcome back, bro.
Good to be back, brother.
Oh, dude, we got to get right into it. Dude, so what does sexual reimagination mean to you?
Oh, man. How do I start that answer? So this is a really important topic for me. And I came up with this phrase about 4 years ago. All right, and I'll tell you how I decided to come up with it. I was walking down the street of Raleigh, North Carolina, and I looked down at my watch. I'm actually going to show this picture to you because it's important. This is on my Instagram. And I have this watch from England that I have probably 3 or 4 different bands to it. So I had switched out the bands, and I had looked down, and this is what I see. So my watch face is upside down. My first immediate thought, and I'm just walking in the street, my first immediate thought was, oh, shoot, man, the face is upside down. It's the wrong way. It's not the right way to put it. I need to switch this around. Right before I actually went to undo my band, I had this thought, like, why is that the wrong way? All right, so you're going to have to follow me a little bit.
Yeah.
Who tells us that the 12 on a watch needs to go up and the 6 needs to go down? Because mine had the 6 up and the 12 down. And I started thinking about society tells us that. You grow up, you're told the 12's up, the 6 down. But that's only because everybody agreed as a community that that's the way it needs to be. To this day, Freddie, 4 years later, that watch, if you ever see me wearing it, first of all, the battery's dead. It's just a style piece. It's still upside down. And it's a reminder to me that we shouldn't just assume the way we were told things is the way things are, and to challenge the status quo. So the sexual reimagination happened around the same time, where I had just gotten out of a relationship, and that relationship, the person that I was with, I thought that we were traveling down the path towards marriage, life partnership, whatever that looked like. We had lived together, moved in together, and it all came tumbling down. And without getting into the details yet, basically after that relationship ended, I felt lost in not knowing what now, what to do. And actually, that's when I came down to Raleigh, and the watch thing happened. It all happened, and there was a specific moment. But to answer your question, sexual reimagination is whoever it is, rather than just decide that because you're told you're supposed to have white picket fence, get married, you're supposed to do this sexually, you're supposed to look for this type of person, and it's not just sex, it's personality. Rather than just take what you've been told, why don't we just start from scratch and make it whatever we want it to be? And so since that moment, all of my relationships have looked very different.
So from a romantic standpoint, it sounds like you're like, this is the building that I was told I had to be in.
Yeah.
I'm going to demolish it, and I'm going to build a new one.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So how did this thought, you saw the watch and all that, but like, there had to have been some other things that led up to that. Like the watch seemed like the breaking point. What was going on?
It was like the aha moment.
Yeah.
Right? There was another aha moment. So, all right. So I was in this relationship, and we had started long distance. She had moved to Baltimore. At the time I lived in Baltimore, still live in Baltimore, but she moved to Baltimore. We moved in together, seemingly good. In hindsight, I'll just say that it wasn't, my gut told me that it probably wasn't right, but like seemingly good, everything's great. She had an opportunity to go abroad and work abroad, and it was a project that was like maybe 2 months, and 2 months turned into 8 months.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
And so it was a career opportunity. We talked about it, and at the time her career was so important, like I supported it. I'm like, absolutely go. It's great for your career. And it was really hard because every time we were looking at the finish line where she was going to come back, they extended. And it was like, bro, she had a flight home, and we're on this high, like, oh, we're going to see each other again. And a couple days or a week before, they're like, we're going to need you to stay another month. And another month turned into 2 months. And those months ended up being probably 3 times they extended it, and it was 8 months. And during that time, we did well because we were good with long distance. I saw her, I went to see her once, she came back twice. But there was a moment in that trip or in her tour abroad, or whatever you call it, there was a moment where probably like month 6, it just changed. I don't know what happened.
Oh, shit.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
you just felt it.
Texts don't start getting returned. I'm going to call you back. Don't call me back till the next day. And like, I have my own hunches on what potentially could have happened, but all I know is there was a specific moment that I noticed, and she came back, and when she came back, we lived together. It was just never the same. And we chalked it up to, we always said when we did long distance, it always took her a day or two to get back into the mix.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I think it's just me getting back into the mix. And I'm like, I don't know. And after a couple of months of her back, it was just, it it was really me saying, hey, it seems like you're not in it. Are you in out? And she's like, I don't know. And if you've been with somebody for a few years, I don't know isn't good enough. I don't know is no. And so I think I just did her a favor and I was like, listen, then we can't do it. If it's I don't know, it's no. And that was the end of that relationship. So, bro, she had to move out, which is a really tough thing for anybody that had to deal with a partner moving out that you even care about.
Yeah.
It's hard. So I flew to Raleigh. I'm like, I can't be here for you to move out. We still, so she moved away. So like I was like, listen, you can stay here as long as you like. She stayed and it took her, we lived together for like a month after we broke up. And that was a great month. That was like the beginning, which affirmed something was up.
Yeah, 100. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We had a blast, which was a little bit more of a like kick in the dick. But anyways, she ends up leaving and went, so I knew the date she was going to move out. So I'm like, I'm going down to Raleigh. Fuck it. Go down to Raleigh. And I think this is before I even knew you. Oh, sorry, I didn't go to Raleigh. I went to New York first. I went to New York. Bro, I'm driving up to New York City.
Yeah.
And I'm like scrolling through my phone and I decide that I want to listen to a podcast. So I just open up my phone. I don't know how this works, but the universe speaking to me, there's this podcast called Guys We Fucked.
Oh, yeah. Very super popular.
Right? And I decided to click it. I didn't know what it was about. Baltimore to New York's 3.5 hours. I listened to it the entire drive. And my mind is blown, bro. Like, my mind is just like, what? I'm driving up, and these two girls, if you guys don't know what Guys We Fucked is, it's two comedians from New York that do a podcast, and it's all about sex, relationship, whatever. But the impetus with it starting was one of the women had gotten out of a relationship, and she was just like messed up in a similar place I was, just kind of messed up, couldn't figure out what was up. And so she decided to start a podcast and interview every person she ever fucked to figure out what was wrong.
Holy
and it evolved into like they went through everybody, and then it just became a relationship. But they're talking about shit that me and my boys talk about, even raunchier. And if somebody could have had a camera on me, my jaw was just to the floor the entire drive. and it's because this sounds so obvious to a lot of the listeners, especially the women, but I thought I painted a picture of these women as like so innocent and like conservative, and these girls are talking about shit that's crazy, like rape fantasy. Never heard that. I'm a 30-something-year-old man at the time. I never heard rape fantasy. They're talking about toys, dildos, one-night stands, spit in my mouth, choke me, and I felt like I had access to something that I wasn't supposed to have access to. I felt so privileged in that moment.
Yeah.
And I was just a fly on the wall listening, and it changed everything for me. I'm like, I really have no clue. I was like, Kristian, you have no clue. And so at that moment, I was like, okay, I started thinking about my relationship, and I go back to my relationship, and I'm like, what if she thought those things? And I remember in my relationship, we had now that I look at it, it was like kind of vanilla. Sex life, relationship, conversations. At the time, I thought I was like big dick swinging, let's do doggy style against the couch. Just thinking back on what I thought was like pushing the envelope was like 101. As embarrassing as that may sound, it was like, I was like, you thought that like that was going to do it for somebody? And I remember specific moments having sex with her or even just having foreplay. I remember thinking like, I have this overwhelming urge to like choke her. Like, what would that feel like?
Yeah.
Right. And I wasn't a big talker. Like I always wanted to try to talk, but it never felt like I could do it. And I never did it because I feared how her response was. And so I was like replaying that in my head and thinking about my relationship. And I'm thinking to myself, what if part of our relationship ended because we were too vanilla? And what if while I was thinking, man, I really want to choke her, she's thinking, man, will he just fucking choke me already?
Yep.
Like rip my clothes off, throw me against the wall,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't drink anymore. I haven't drank for over 10 years, but when I was drinking, you could do dumb shit when you drink. But when you're in a relationship and it's sober, like you can't take those risks because the inhibitions are still there. Yeah. So it just, at that moment I said to myself, you know what? Fuck it. Like, forget what anybody told me. I almost treated it like a scientist. Like, we're going to start experimenting. We're going to start over. We're going to not make any assumptions, and let's figure this shit out ourselves. And that began my journey 4 years ago of the sexual reimagination.
Oh, I like that. So I want to get into the events, but before we get into that, I want to know, how did you feel, how do you feel like you improved from, before to now? Like,
I feel like we should have some of my partners on to that's right. Every way. And I want to make sure when we say sexual reimagination, and I'm really candid and open to anybody I go on a date with or in a relationship with.
Yeah.
They know about this really early on. I make it clear, this isn't about sex. This isn't about the act of sex. It's a bigger thing than that. It's emotional. There is physical component, but it's emotional. How I'm different, far more open, far more candid, get to who I am much quicker.
Yep.
And establish sort of, I'm just more free speaking and free in my action, and less, I don't get in my head like, what if? I'm like, I'm going to do whatever I feel. I'm going to communicate that, and we'll deal with however the response is.
I feel like that's a pivotal moment in a man's life. It seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, you went from like, because we worry about what women think. We worry about, because when we're young guys and our penis is thinking for us, we're thinking, don't say anything that's going to mess this up. Whereas like, then you learn as you get older, you're like, why am I putting on an act for this? And then kind of feeling, getting into these situations and essentially wasting time. Whereas like now it's like, I'm going to say who I am, and whoever's going to mess with me is going to mess with me. It's not, it's not. Yeah.
You want to get to it quicker. Like, let's get to the end quicker, or let's get to the brass tacks as quick as possible. That's absolutely right.
All right. So with the events now, what was the first like event that you were like, you talk about it, you're a scientist. What was your first experiment?
It's actually really simple. The first experiment was just to be 100% honest and transparent with somebody I was talking to. Like, whether it was a date, and I had to scale it. I had to reel it in a little bit because I'd get like a little bit too much, on the first date, we're having drinks, and like within 10 minutes, I'm talking about sex and like whatever and sexual reimagination. I'm like, I probably should just like ease into that a little bit.
Yeah.
But the first step was just like saying whatever was on my mind without a filter, but being responsible about it. And then reading the other party. That was it. What you're asking me is, so here's a cool story. Man, future relationships, I'm probably gonna regret this. Fucking all in. We're all in, baby. Balls deep. So I drive up to New York, listen to the podcast, and I'm visiting my buddy, my best friend in the city. And on Spotify, you can see the calendar of events when somebody's doing tour. So these girls, turns out, the one girl, Christina, I believe her name is.
Yeah.
She was actually in New York City doing a stand-up like 2 nights later. Like, what are the chances that I just found this podcast and she's doing it, right? So I go by myself, go to her stand-up. Don't know why. I just feel like this is like I don't believe, not big in the universe, but I believe something's pulling me towards this. So I go by myself. And you know how comedy shows are set up, like they kind of strategically sit you places.
Yep.
And so they sit me kind of in the back middle, and they sit me next to a girl who's by herself. And she was from California. She was just so happened to be in New York because she was a nanny and her family was visiting. The family she nannies for brought her with her. And they were like in Jersey, and she loves guys we fucked. And so she's like, I'm coming to the show. We sat next to each other, sparked it up. And I was just like, bro, we met in that show. Let's say it's at 9:00. We were out till 5 a.m. in New York City at a diner. And I'm just trying to work through my thoughts.
Wait, so you guys met at the show?
Met at the show.
Oh, randomly. Oh, and you guys hit it off, and now you're at it, like...
Yes, and so she had relationship things happen, and I had a relationship thing that happened, and we both come together, and it was like two people met at the right time, and it wasn't romantic. There was not an attraction like that. It was like, again, these like scientists or like researchers, and we're comparing notes. And this is at the very beginning, so I didn't have any notes. So I'm working through it with her, and I'm like, well, what about this? And I'm just saying anything I want to say.
What were some of the questions you asked?
I'd be like, well, I made more statements of like, so like how, well, I'd ask her like how dirty do you get? You know, like how dirty in your mind, or like, and what like perceptions about guys. Like what do you feel about a guy? And you know, it's 4 years, so it's hard for me to recall that. But like, how do you feel about a guy who like, maybe he steps over the line a little bit? Is that something that is like off-putting to you? And she's like, no, that's like, people say dumb shit. It's forgiving, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was cool because, it's funny how people come in and out of your life. You know, we then spoke a bunch, and we just kept in touch frequently. And then I think she was like attracted to me, like in hindsight, like I think she was attracted to me, but we kept in touch, and it was almost like she was the person I would go to have this conversation. Like, hey, I got this question, or I'm thinking about this, and we worked through the problem.
So you guys, no kissing, there was no romance?
No, nothing.
Okay.
But then we would FaceTime, and I think if you have conversations that are sexual of those nature, at some point, shit's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we did like FaceTime mutual masturbation.
Oh, how was that?
It was cool. It was great.
Did you so you enjoyed it? Because I've heard a lot of people say that's, you know, or you know what like, how did you guys initiate that? From like, hey, we're not romantic.
I know.
To
I don't
you're
know.
there.
Like, what do you know? We'd talk at night, and like, I don't know how it even started. It's just like, it wasn't like you would think. It wasn't like this passionate thing. It was more like a conversation.
Yeah.
And like,
it sounds like scientific. Like you were like, let's give it a shot, see what's up.
Yeah. And so one of the theories that I did come up with, so we did that, and that was the only thing that ever happened.
Yeah.
We never saw each other in person again. And that was and then it was still cool. It was never awkward, but that was it. Like, that was it. And, but it was cool to have her at the beginning, because I felt so comfortable saying whatever I wanted to say and knew she didn't judge me. And quite frankly, she lived in California, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And so you sort of fast forward, and over the next couple of years, like, I'm going on dates, and I decided I didn't want to be in a relationship. So I spent a good year and a half just dating, no intention of having a relationship, exploring. And I was very clear with the people I went on dates with. Some received it well, some didn't. Some didn't, then came back, and were like, you know what, maybe, you know? And so it was interesting. So I experimented and just worked through things and created hypotheses and whatever. And so that's how it began.
How did that honesty change the feeling of the pursuit, or like in this phase?
I think it comes off as confidence, right? Like, because you're just... being honest is freeing.
Yeah.
It's like telling a lie, not telling a lie, right?
Yeah.
Like, you tell a lie to somebody, it's so much work because you got to remember the lie, and now you have a spider web of lies, and it's draining. Trying to put on a front is the same way. Like, trying to put on this facade is stressful and draining. Being yourself is not very draining. Speaking freely is not very draining. So now it's like this weight lifted, and now you're saying whatever. And I think it's coming off as a little bit more of more confidence.
Yeah.
Right. And allowing others to, and if you can get the other person to speak freely, you got it. Like you're there.
And I think by you speaking freely, you probably opened up a lot of doors. Was there a weird like beginning period where it was awkward? Maybe you fumbled on words, or the delivery was weird. Yeah,
it took a decent amount of dates to like get more comfortable, and you try a little bit, say a little bit, go a little further.
Yeah.
You know, it's always met with skepticism at the beginning. Oh, you're just a man whore. You're trying to fuck, whatever. And I had this rule, and I still have this rule. If I'm having sex with you, I'm not having sex with anybody else.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, even though I was exploring, like a lot of it didn't lead to sex, and we might hook up or not, but like, I made it very clear, if we take it to that level, like, it's monogamous. And so or at least I'll let you know. You know what I'm saying? And I'll give you that opportunity. And so because it does affect that other person, everything else is fair game. You know, I was clear. I'm going on dates. I might hook up with other people, but like, if we do have sex. And so I didn't have as much sex as you would think, but most girls were like, oh, you're just trying to get me in bed. Look at you. And they didn't understand what I was trying to say because I didn't understand what I was trying to say.
How did you get to understand what you were saying?
I think with other people challenging me, I had to clear up my message. I had to work on my elevator pitch, you know?
Yeah.
And so you help by telling stories that are relatable, you know? And that's, you know what? I mean, the easiest lead was, are we meant to be monogamous? That was a question I was trying to answer. Are we meant to be monogamous? I'm not sure. I always had issues around, not issues around marriage, but just marriage and like not totally understanding or buying into that idea. I knew I wanted to be with somebody for the rest of my life, but I was like, do I want to, like, if you understand the history of marriage, like, do I really want that? Or is that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's how it would start.
I like that. That's a great question. It's a super like thought-provoking question. So what, like, you know, how do you feel today about that with monogamy itself? Not necessarily marriage, but just monogamy, one person.
I don't believe we're meant to be monogamous as humans.
Why?
I don't think we're built that way. You know, like it's just, I believe it's a construct. And when you learn about it, like, just look back, look at the story, right?
Yeah.
Marriage used to be about land, power.
Yep.
And money.
It was a way to bring two families together so you had a better chance to make it. Yeah.
I think if you just use common sense sort of deduction, you should probably you will arrive at that. So you think about that, it wasn't meant that way. You think about the church and sort of the church bringing into it. Love was never the reason. And then you just think about nature, right? And you think about other animals.
Yep.
You're like, they're not monogamous. And then you look at the statistics and you say, 50% of marriages don't work out.
Yep.
And out of those 50 that do, how many are unhappy? Let's just say 50, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem like that's a model that's functional and works. And then I think about my own life and I'm like, I don't have those same shitty stretches when I'm single that I do relationship. And I'm not against a relationship, but I thought about that and I'm like, why is that? Like, why are more people miserable in relationships than not? And I don't want to beat down relationships because I want a relationship.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. Like, I am like at a point in my life where I want to work towards a long-term partnership.
Yeah.
Whether it's marriage. So I think that, I don't think we're meant to be monogamous, but I think that I should be monogamous. Because
unpack that. That's interesting. Because my question, I was going to ask you, you know, you don't believe we should, but yet you tried to be, and I want to know why.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Because I believe it's so, I mean, you just think about like the impact, the implications of sex, and you could talk about STDs, you could talk about pregnancies, and so the stakes are just high.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like that doesn't make sense. And I have a daughter. I have a 7-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And so thinking about her and what that's going to look like and what I want to model, you know, I want her to make her decisions on her own at the end of the day, but like, I don't want to model that. Like, I want a stable figure in her life. So to me, I don't need multiple partners and I don't need sex like that.
Yeah.
So when I weigh it, like, what's really important is far more like in favor of monogamy than that. So if it was socially acceptable, yeah, I'd be fine with it, but it's not socially acceptable. And so it's not worth the headache and the heartache for me. And quite frankly, I don't even have time. Like, managing that just is a lot.
Oh yeah.
Just like multiple relationships and whatever.
All right, so because I'm a lot of what you're saying is resonating with me, especially with the honesty piece. Because I call it single the wrong way and single the right way.
Yeah.
And single the wrong way is being a fuckboy, right? You're lying, you're trying to play, and you're trying to juggle all this shit. Single the right way is what you were doing when you went on your sexual reimagination. It just feels better. It's freeing. Shit, I just lost it.
And there's respect that's gained. You know, I used to say this all the time to the women that were sort of standoffish when I brought it up. And I was like, listen, the guy that's going to fuck you over isn't saying what I'm saying. So I can say what you want to hear. I know what to say to get you in bed. And it's not, hey, I don't think we're meant to be monogamous.
Yeah.
It's, you know, like sweet talking, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, you know, I really just, I don't know. We got a connection. I like you. You're beautiful. I love what you're about.
Fake laughing at the jokes.
You. And then, you know, let's hang out. And then we're back at the crib like, oh, you want to just hang out? Like, no, nothing. Just come hang out. And you do the whole thing. Like, you do the whole thing. And then up until sex. And it's a facade till then. Like, the guy who wants to get you in sex isn't telling you that. And so I always used to say that. Like, do you understand that my life is a lot easier by not being as transparent to you?
Yep.
Because I got to face all these rebuttals, you know, and this like, and so while it was freeing, it was also like navigating that was an interesting perspective for me. But when I said people come back, because I think a lot of girls realize like as they kept dating more, it's like, man, these fuck boys or these boys that are bullshitting me, you know, you hear it all the time. Like I don't understand why girls try to withhold sex, like it's gonna matter more, and then they're like, oh, I had sex and the guy left. Like, thrill of the chase. It's simple, you know, like it's thrill of the chase. And the reality is, it's not something you did or didn't do. It just wasn't compatible, and you just waited too long to figure it out, right? And like,
with girls waiting, you mean?
Yeah, with girls waiting around or like not understanding. Like, there's no trick behind it. It's like figure out if there's compatibility, and once both people show their true selves, then it's going to, you know, whatever happens is going to happen.
So I don't know. Cause I think if a girl's waiting, I met one girl recently, I taught her how to longboard, and she was saying that like she's going through, like she's kind of like whatever. She set some rules for herself. I was like, let me guess. I was like, you went through a healthy hoe phase. And she said, yes.
Yeah.
And she said that she now has a 3-month minimum, which usually with the time frames, I'm with you. I'm like, you know, whatever. But I was like, damn, 3 months isn't a long enough time to, I think, filter out the fuckboys, because I don't think a fuckboy's gonna wait a whole quarter to sleep with someone. What do you think?
If they only see her once a week, maybe.
Oh shit, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It depends on the timeline. I have no problems with that. What I'm saying is, you're surprised if they do roll. Like, why did he leave? Like, I thought this was the way to do it.
Oh yeah. I see what you're saying.
It could work, and I'm also saying like, there's good guys that if you give it up on the first date, they might have some sort of perception. Like, guys are funny like that. They may be like, yeah, you fucked me on the first date? Like, how many other guys you fucked on the first date? Like, it's stupid to think that way, but that's what they think.
Yeah.
So I understand the theory behind it, but it doesn't have to be a game. Mm-hmm. And when you treat it as a game, I think that's where it gets in trouble. And the disclaimer is, listen, I'm not like, I don't have all the answers, and I'm not saying I'm going to get the answers. So I'm still figuring this out with everybody else, but I've seen this model that's been repeated, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
What do you think was the most like important moment for you during these the sexual reimagination experiments? Like,
sex education partner.
Please explain.
I'm going to tell a really funny story that I only told for the first time. I'm 39 years old. So I only told this story for the first time 2 weeks ago.
Oh, shit.
Nobody knew about this. And I need to be open with the people.
Yeah. This is FredTalk.
I never knew how to come growing up. Nut. Like busting nut.
On your own?
On my own. Like, I didn't know I had wet dreams growing up.
Yeah.
I used to like steal my dad's porn and watch it. And so I knew that there was a nut. Like, I knew that was a thing.
Yeah.
But I would like try to masturbate, and I remember knowing something's supposed to come out, and I'd masturbate, and I'm like 12. I hate to say this, but I'm 12 years old, trying to masturbate, and I'm pushing so hard because something's gonna come out. Something's supposed to come out, and I'm pushing, and like pea shoot would come out, like a pea stream, and I'd like push, and like 1 pea stream, and like 2 pea streams, and I'd be done. And I think that I came. I didn't. And I just didn't think like the consistency is different. I just didn't even think. And so I used to be in my apartment. I'm sorry. I hope my dad doesn't listen to this, because I would just pee, like pee goes far. It's not like a nut. I was probably peeing on the floor, on the TV, whatever it was. I didn't come for the first time.
Hold on. You weren't in the bathroom?
No, I was in the family room. I was in the family room. It was my dad's office.
Oh,
family
that's
room.
great.
And I would like pee stream, and I would do that. Like, I didn't do it a lot because it was so tough to do. And I'm like, this isn't fun. And then fast forward to like 16, I think I lost my virginity. And I came inside a girl. Like, that's the first time I ever nutted.
Did you have a condom?
I want to say I did. Yeah, I did.
Oh, that's good.
I
That's
did.
good. Yeah.
But
How long did it take?
quick. It was quick.
Yeah.
But we had sex. We tried to have sex. Guys are horrible when they start.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know. And it's the feeling comes. And I came and I was like, okay, that's what it's supposed to be like. Like, I was like a little, it was, I remember it to this day.
Oh, that's hilarious. See, I had the opposite thing. I started masturbating when I was like 12, but nothing came out. But I got the feeling, the same exact feeling, but there's like no cleanup.
I lied to you. I came inside her. I'm sorry. I lied. I can't move forward with this.
I was like a Puerto Rican man
can't
using
tell,
condoms.
yeah.
This is, as a teenager?
I never used a condom. I'm sorry.
Bro,
I'm sorry to do
so
that.
were you scared? Like, were you like, we gotta...
No.
Okay.
No, we didn't even do a plan B. I don't know. I'm an idiot. She was on the pill.
Oh, okay.
In all fairness, she was on the pill.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that, and like I didn't know what was happening, and I freaked. Like, I was just like, what? I did freak out, but not because of a kid. I'm freaked out because I'm like, this is what it's supposed to be. Because up until then, every nut I had, I was asleep. I was in REM, bro. So that was an experience. So then I kind of figured out. But my point is, sex education, but that's not the same thing. How do we learn? Like, how do we figure out how to like go down on a girl? How do we figure out what the erogenous zones are? How do we do all that stuff? And yeah, you can see it, but you need to test it out. Yeah. And you need somebody to say, like, no, go this way or go that way or try this. And so I knew I needed a sex education partner. That was one of the theories. Like, what if we had a sex education partner and it was strictly platonic, and we had these sex education sessions, and we'd take the things we heard about or read or learned, and we tried it out. We'd say, hey, sex partner, like, we're focusing on you today. I need to try these things out. And you would then figure it out, and then you would take it to the field, into the world, and you'd use it, and then you'd come back and you'd report your findings. You'd be like, I did this, but like, and it'd be anything, even not just sex. Like, this guy, and it needs to be the opposite sex if you're heterosexual. This guy, if a girl's doing it, like, this guy said this, what does it mean? You got a guy in your, corner who's like, this is what he's doing. He's fucking around with you. Like, everybody needs that. All right, this girl, what do I do? All right, do this. Or, I want to choke her, but I think she's going to like be scared. What are you talking about? Choke her. Don't be a pussy. Like, you need that person in your corner. And so I knew I needed it, and I'd bring it up to girls, and they'd shoot me down. They'd be like, you're a fucking idiot. And one of their issues was they thought, I shouldn't make it sound more than it is. They thought that by making it an education session and removing the passion, that it wouldn't be as good.
That's what I'm thinking.
Bullshit.
Really?
Bullshit.
So you guys, as scientists, were able to recreate that connection? Yes. Wow.
It's different, but it's not worse.
Okay. Oh, I like that.
I mean, passion is different, and passion's great, but there's no issues getting a nut off, especially when you're guiding the ship.
Yeah.
So you have a sex education partner. You have to agree that there can be emotions involved, and naturally over time they may happen, and you probably got to cut ties.
Yeah.
But you carve out time where the one person is the focus, and then a different time the other person's a focus.
So what does that look like? I'm picturing a lot of communication. This is what
Yes.
I like.
It's very like we're talking right now.
Yeah.
All right, you're still kissing, you're still doing that, but let's say you are my sex education partner and you're a female. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you're female or not, but you're my sex education partner and you're the focus. Because you're the focus, I'm trying to learn. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so you're the body we're looking at. So I'm doing the action and you're saying, all right, I like this.
Nice.
Try this. I don't like this. But it really starts with me asking the question. Okay, like I'll start with, like how it should start is, do what you normally do.
Yeah.
Like how do you normally foreplay?
Yeah.
And typically sex is a whole different focus. So like you'd say, all right, today the sex education is foreplay, or the sex education is fingering, or the sex education is whatever. So like you do foreplay and you do what you normally do. So I would do my normal moves. You know, everybody got their like 2 to 3 moves.
Yeah.
And I'm asking you like, what do you think? And at the end of it, you, and so like I'll do that. And then throughout, you'll be like, all right, try this. All right, have you done this before? One of the big things is I never did butt play. And
like just putting pressure on it, not
necessarily. That, bro. Yeah. And so like, I don't want to try that for the first time on somebody I like. So having a sex education partner is helpful in that way. So you do that and then she tells you these things. And then after you're done, and hopefully it ends in an orgasm, after you're done, you talk about it. What did you like? What should I do differently? Whatever. And then you fucking do it again. And you keep doing it. I read this article about a different way to go down on a girl that was guaranteed. It was like the 2-minute cum or something like that. Yeah. Right? The 2-minute orgasm.
To make her blast, like,
and
one of those like headlines.
Yeah. And so I had a sex education partner, and I was dating a girl. I was hooking up with a girl, and they said that men approach it wrong. And if I wish I could, maybe you can explain it better, but like when a girl's laying down receiving oral sex, right? Mm-hmm. A guy normally goes between her legs. And you basically, your body's in a straight line. Mm-hmm. So we'll call it parallel, essentially, but they're over top of each other. They said, you're doing it wrong. You need to go perpendicular. So guys need to go in from the side for a couple reasons. I'm reading this article. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. Go in from the side. One, they said that more surface area for the tongue over the clit, sideways rather than up and down, because that's just the tip of your tongue hitting it. And there's ways you can, I know people are going to say there's ways you can get more surface area, but it's more natural that way. So I'm like, okay, I can maybe see that. But then they said, you're at a more comfortable angle. And any guy knows this. When you're going down on a girl, if you want to finger her and penetrate, it's really awkward when you're doing it parallel, when you're doing it between her legs, because you're trying to like eat her out, and then you're trying to finger her, and it's by your face, and it's a weird angle.
Yeah.
When you're sideways, you slide it under her leg, and you now have free access.
Yeah,
your left hand, so if I'm on her right side, perpendicular, my left hand has access to her breast.
Yeah.
Right?
A more comfortable position.
Natural.
Too, instead of being like here.
Yes, like trying to reach up, barely reaching. Natural, anywhere you want. And your right hand is under her leg. And this is, I didn't do this at the time, but this is what I would do now, is the one pointer finger can be on the clit, 1 or 2 fingers would be in the vagina if you wanted to penetrate her. If you didn't, that's fine. You could play around sort of with the lips. And then the pinky or whatever would be in the anal if you wanted to add that in as like an accelerator, right? Yeah. And that's natural too, because we're like this. I'm so glad we're videotaping this.
Right.
It's right. Doesn't this make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then if I want to bring my
the
left hand
laying this way, she's like laying.
Yes.
Yeah.
If this is the girl, the table that we're at is a girl. Like, yeah, she's laying this way, and I can do that. I can bring my hand to her clit, and like, you know, when you like pull it up and kind of spread it, spread the lips, so that could be my left hand. I got a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
So I read this article, and I'm like, I need to try this out. So I called my sex education partner. She's like, fuck, yes. Like, it works. It's good. And I did it on this girl. I did it on this girl that was hooking up. I'd already been hooking up with her. So she knew my moves. And I pull this out. And she, afterwards, she was like, what just happened? Like, what, did you do something? I mean, she knew I went from the side. She's like, did you do something different? I'm like, was it good? She's like,
you're like, I'm a guy. Hold on. I need this quick. Let me know.
Yeah. But she said it to me like, what did you just do? And that was it. That was the sex education part. And the same thing happened to me. Like, then I was the focus and the man was the focus. And, a lot of women like giving blowjobs, they just don't give great blowjobs or even hand jobs. Mm-hmm. Some guys struggle with it. I'm a giver. I'm not a receiver. I struggle with like oral sex.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like getting off on oral sex.
What about it?
I get in my head. Huh. I need to be active. And I learned this about myself through sex education. I learned that I'm in my head all the time. And so you need to it needs to be a multi-sensory experience. So if you're just blowing me with your mouth, I will get lost. It'll feel good for a little bit, and then I'll start thinking about shit. I'll lay there.
Really?
Yeah, I'll start thinking about shit. And then it becomes stay hard, stay hard. And the moment you think stay hard, you're done.
You're out, yeah.
And so then through that, we did the sex education. I'd be like, all right, I realize you got to like rub me and you got to talk to me, right? Mm-hmm. Like say things to me and switch up. Like you can only like use your mouth for like 7 strokes and then switch to the hand. You ever heard of the 7 and 3?
No, what's that?
So like seven quick strokes, 3 long strokes. It could be with sex, it could be with blowjob, whatever. But in college, I used to talk about it. And you could do, it just adds up to 10. You can do 6 and 4. You can just switch it up. So it's cool during sex. You're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. And like it's just a move. It's just a move. It's ridiculous. And so I was like, try that. Switch on, like use your hand, speed up, leave my penis, leave my dick.
Yeah.
Go do something else because that teases me and it makes me hard.
Yeah.
Hold on to my penis and don't do anything and start kissing my inner thigh or my stomach. And that makes me, all these things I didn't know about myself.
Wow.
Right? So it's not just learning about somebody else, it's learning about yourself. What do you like? Because you can only do so much to yourself. So sex education, partner.
Damn, that's awesome. Because there's a big group of men that feel the same way you do about oral sex. Me, I'm completely different, and like I love it. It's almost like I gotta have him stop because I'm like I'm gonna come super quick. Like
yes,
and for me, like I just look
good for you, bro.
I look at what they're getting head's one of my favorite things. I just look at what they're doing. It's just like being, and I guess I'm present in that moment. Sometimes too present. I'm like, oh, hold on, stop. Or I sometimes don't even get to sex or whatever, but. It's interesting.
Do you enjoy giving oral sex?
Love it.
I do too. Bro, I didn't know if you.
Yeah.
So you like all of it.
Yeah, I remember a time when I was a kid, especially like in the black community, whatever.
I don't know how you're gonna tie this together, but go ahead.
When it was like uncool to give oral sex.
Yeah.
Like guys would like I don't need pussy. I'm like
black guys.
Black guys,
because I felt like white guys.
White guys too, really? Okay. So then this.
Oh no! I take that back. Nope. No. I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm wrong.
It was
right,
in like
guys.
like I guess hood culture, whatever. It was like, nah, I don't need pussy. I'm like, I eat, and they try to make fun of me. I'm like, bro, what's the goal here? What are we doing? Like But it is one of my favorite things too, and it turns me on. Sometimes I jerk off while I'm going down on a girl, and
I've never done that.
Yeah, it's like
Why have I never done that?
I don't know.
So. That's, dude, bless you.
Yeah.
I envy you.
I guess I'm lucky like that. So that's interesting. It's cool to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, so you got to distract me. You got to switch it up. You got to be like, like boom, boom, boom. Like just keeping me guessing is what you got to do.
One thing I love that you brought up was the communication aspect and specifically the part where you as a man ask, what do you like? What can I do? And I think that question is hard for a guy because there's this assumption that we should already know that going in, what we're going to do, because we're men and we got to know how to take charge of the situation. This one podcast I listened to called Man School 202 talks about like how being in a relationship and sex is like one of the hardest things we could do, but we're all expected to be really good at it at the jump, which makes no freaking sense.
Yeah.
So like, it's something that you got to do. You have to have experience with and do. And then like asking those questions helps like that.
No, I'm going to amend something I said earlier.
Yo.
There can't be emotion in it. Like, right, finding a partner that there's no physical attraction. That's how I started. The goal is to find a partner that can be both your sex education partner and your lover.
Yeah.
You just have to carve out time that's all about sex education.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I've done that, right? Like the girl I'm dating now, I'll be like, hey, the most recent one, we haven't done it yet, so I hope she listens because this is supposed to be on the books. I was like, I want to, when I finger her, I don't feel like my finger game is strong. I thought it was, but I don't think it is.
Dude, I didn't realize that I was fingering wrong until my late 20s.
I'm 39, bro. You acted like that was a bad thing. Like, that seems normal, late 20s. I'm 39, bro. I think I could be stronger with my finger game. So,
wait, hold on. How was your finger game weak?
I don't know if it's weak, but I don't think it compares to like, man, I'm just going to say it. Like, I don't think anybody's better than going down on a girl than me. Like, I believe that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. So you're like, I don't even need to worry about the finger shit.
Well, I'm saying that I don't think it's weak. I just don't think it's at a par with the other parts of my game.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I've just because I've noticed when I've like fingered a girl, they might be like, oh, ooh, maybe I'm a little too rapid fire. Maybe I already know she's like I treat it like I treat my penis when I masturbate. Like, so why am I talking so formally? So like when I beat off like my dick, like I'm very fast. Like when it's time to go, it's all tip, rapid fire.
Yeah.
When I masturbate,
less than a
when I
minute.
jerk
You're
off.
just like,
boom.
Yeah.
Like when I know I'm close, it's all tip. And
Yeah.
so that speed is like, it's inconceivable. Like how fast the guy's hand goes when he's like ready to freaking rapid fire.
Yeah.
I do that when I finger a girl, and it doesn't work. That's not right. And just even sometimes around her clit, like maybe going a little too fast, I always build up. I'm always like, start slow, build up faster, 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 because I think as she's escalating, I just naturally am going faster. So anyways, I just said to her, like, I think we need to do a sex education on fingering you. And so that's the relationships
That's important.
I want.
Yeah.
And saying this. And so, like, maybe I'll eat her ass.
Yeah.
And like,
is that something you've done before?
yeah, man, but I'm like, I haven't committed to it.
How do you feel about 69? A lot of people
Love it.
Really? All right.
Love it.
So
I get more hard off a 69 than anything else.
A lot of people don't like it because they're like, I'm trying to get pleasure and give pleasure at the same time. It's hard to focus. And for me, it's like 69 is not really, pleasure is a second priority. 69 is a vibe. Like it's like
that's a lifestyle.
It's just a dirty, like your asshole's right in front of my face.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things. So like, I don't know. I feel like I just got to get in that position for a little bit.
Well,
just
you
like,
got to remember, I need distraction.
Oh,
69 is right up my alley.
Bro, yeah.
Because I'm working.
Yeah.
And when I go down to a girl, that's usually the hardest I am. So if we're 69 and you have access to me as hard as I am, and I can do the thing, like.
Bro, I love this. Is so awesome. Like the different.
Yeah, we're different.
Because everybody's different. So, question about the erogenous zone. So, like, you're learning where the erogenous zones are. You maybe looked online, then you did it with your partner. How is it different? Like with other women since your partner, how have the erogenous zones differed?
Fundamentally, they're the same.
Okay.
So far, like foundationally, they're the same so far.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's because the erogenous zones differ. I think that's because I communicate. I put a emphasis on communication. Like
Huge.
even if we're hooking up, like ask him like, "How's this feel? How do you?" And it's kind of sexual.
Yeah.
Like, you like that?
Yeah.
And I'll even have we talked earlier today, and you like. You were talking with the girl I'm dating about the sex. She said she brought up sexual reimagination, and she told you about the night I met her.
Yeah,
the first time we hooked up.
She said she loved it. I was like, oh shit. I was like, where you got to talk
And
about
just the conversation, we were talking about it before we got in the bedroom. Like, what do you like? What do you that's a general conversation you could have, and I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And I want to be with somebody who's comfortable with it too. If I'm just meet you, if we hung out on a couple dates, because that was third time we were hanging out. And I'm bringing up sex and you're like not comfortable talking about it. I don't want to, like, that's not what I want to be with. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay if you're not like that, but I want open sexual communication. So anyways, as far as it's different now, because when I'm hooking up with a girl, I'm figuring it out. I'm able to read her. I'm able to read them a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think fundamental, like it's still kind of the same. It's just, it's a little bit more nuanced, whether it's pressure, whether it's speed, whatever. But overall, it's still like, you still got your main points.
Yeah.
There was a situation where like the girl didn't think she liked nipple play. Like she told me like, I don't really like nipple play. I still tried it and she was like, oh, I do like it.
Oh shit.
Right?
Did she tell you what you did different that?
No, you know what? I don't know. I didn't even ask that, which is probably a good question to ask. But you see, I still tried it. And like, you know,
that's
with the girl squirts or doesn't squirt or whatever, like try shit out.
Yeah, if a girl told me that, I'll be like, I guess I'm not touching her nipples. Like, especially when you think about the communication thing. So that's really cool. I think that she tried it and then she liked it. It's like,
yeah, no, it's like, and it wasn't like she didn't like it. It's like, it doesn't do anything for me. I'm like, you cool if I still try it? And
yeah.
Like, and I did it and her body responded like she did like it. And so I asked her.
What was the response? What did she do that made you go, oh, I know she likes
like
it?
arched her back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And her nipples get hard and breathe heavy, you know, the main indicators.
Yep.
You know, squirmy. So that like, that's what happened.
Nice. All right. So communication, super important. One of the things I learned when I got older is also a lot of foreplay at the beginning, like tease them, and then also slow the fuck down. That's when I ask a lot of sexual stuff on my Instagram, and that was one of the main things. It was like a poll of like what women like type thing, and a lot of women said, men, slow the fuck down. What's your take on that?
Well, I kind of mentioned it because I kind of speed up.
Yeah.
Or sorry, when I was fingering, I speed up. Bro, I don't know what the average time a guy is foreplaying, but like if you're my focus, 2 hours.
Ooh, wow.
Like,
bro, that's
minimum an hour. Like I take my time and we cover every fucking square inch.
Bro,
we do.
That dude, I'm learning.
A lot of kissing, a lot of soft kisses, a lot of teasing, like build up, like
yeah.
I want to throw you on this table right now.
Dude,
I'm so fired up.
This is the Disney pass, bro. This is the Snyder cut of foreplay, fucking extended version.
No,
that's good. That's good.
It's not always that long, but definitely in the beginning, like those moments, you know, like I'd venture to say I really, really enjoy sex.
Yeah.
I might like foreplay more than sex, like giving. And this might be like a me thing, and like whether it's, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's some sort of like not good thing for me, not narcissism or whatever. Like just being able to elicit that response in another person.
Yeah,
is a lot of girls can't orgasm off of sex, off of penetration.
No, it's like supposed to be clit focused, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like you can be inside, but like they might have to play with their clit. So like when you think about that. Again, I'm a giver, so me nutting, I can nut anytime I want, like, and it feels really good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get me fired up to experience my partner getting off. So if that's the case, that they don't need penetration, then I'm going to enjoy the stuff that's non-penetration even more.
Yeah. I like to try to make them come before there's even any penetration. And if I make them come and she gives me head on, I come, I'm good. Like,
have you heard that before? That somebody enjoys oral more, giving oral than having sex?
Giving oral than having sex.
And that's not the right phrase is to say I enjoy it more, because I really enjoy sex.
Yeah.
But there's just something about it.
I don't think I've heard more, but I know that people enjoy oral. Like I know girls that get wet while giving head, and then there's other girls that are like, no, you know, like.
Yeah. I mean, I need to get off, so I guess maybe it's equal, but yeah, man, very few sessions are just straight sex.
That whole, you said every inch of your body thing, that shit is real. Like when I know when I'm present and in the moment, I'm literally like, you're at the right speed, you're slow, and, you know, and you're literally just looking at like, oh, look at that birthmark. Look at that. Like you're like.
Yeah. Everything, the pinky toe.
Bro, you trying to fuck, bro?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, I want to fucking throw you on this table. I'll get fired up.
Bro, all right.
I want to just like slide everything off this desk and just fucking eat your ass.
Dude, I gotta do a bit at the intro. I'm gonna be like, guys, be ready. We're gonna talk like men. So and this is great.
That's a teaser clip. Is I'm gonna throw everything on the table and eat your ass, and you're like on your knees. You know your skit where you're on the stool.
Oh yeah,
like
to the side.
Side to the side, and like to the side, and I'm just fucking just doing the finger thing.
Oh, dude,
tickling your balls, fingering your ass.
Dude, so the character arc in this conversation has been amazing because you went from I was having vanilla stuff, and I think you've proven that you've learned a lot in this sexual.
It should give people hope.
It really should, man. I'd love
sucked.
to have more people on if they're comfortable, male or female, to come on and talk about their sexual reimagination as well. So I hope this gives people inspired, and they're not just thinking these are two fucking jocks talking about pussy. You know, I think this is way more than that. I hope people can see that. So.
I hope so, and I hope it sparks conversation across sexes, because these are great conversations to have, and we have open conversations about relationships and sex. And I have to remind you, it's not just sex. No. It's things you do in a relationship, how you treat the other person, whatever it is, right? Your love languages, like explore all of it and have conversations of all of it. Everybody knows communication is the key, but actually doing it is different. And I have a long way to go. It's a never ending sort of journey.
Yeah.
And so just continuing to evolve. It is easy to fall into the sex stuff, but man, like, just give attention, right? Like that's being a good partner, is just give that person the attention they need. But I have conversations equally as important about, hey, this is how I get when like I'm stressed after work. This is how you should, and like she'll ask me like, well, so if you look upset, should I stay away from you or should I, whatever? I'll be like, or should I ask you what's wrong?
She's like, yes. You're like, what?
And so those are just as important, if not more important, conversations. And so having just conversations around relationships, watching things together, like, hey, I found this clip. Let me know what you think about it. Those are topics of discussion. Sex with Emily. Do you ever follow that Instagram?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
She's great. I watched one of those and I was like, what do you think about this? What did she talk about? She talked about
masturbating next to each other was one of them, like normalized masturbating next to each other. Like
we did mutual masturbation that night, and I've done mutual masturbation before. Sorry, bro.
No, you're good.
Leg touch.
I came. It's cool.
But like I've done it before, but we watched it and we're like, you want to do mutual masturbation tonight? And I was like, yeah. And we did it, and it just was like even sexier.
Ah, that's
like,
so cool.
And then she got off, and then we're like, I'm like, I said something, a joke about a toy. And because Emily has a chain, a pendant that's actually a vibrator. It's really cool. It looks like a bullet. It's a vibrator. And I made a joke about it, and I was like, let's use a vibrator. And like, I want to get better at that too. Like, those are the things I want to get better at. And then she's like, well, have you ever used it on yourself? Like, or have you ever had somebody use it on you? Like, like, I guess the thing is on your like chode or your grundle, whatever you call it, right below your balls, like pressing it on your balls or putting it on your shaft or setting it there. I'm like, nah, I never tried it. Let's try it.
Yeah.
And all those things are great. So sharing education is important. Bro, your podcast with Meg, was that her name, with the throuple?
Yeah. The poly one.
Yeah, the polyamory. Awesome. Like that, shout out to her. She was awesome.
Yeah.
Really good. And we talked about it. Like, not that we wanted to do it, but like, it's just good to have these conversations to know where somebody stands or what somebody thinks about. And it helps round out sort of your philosophies around relationships. So even though I don't think I'll ever be in a throuple or I'll want to have one, why am I not having a conversation about it? Yeah. I should at least explore, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
And so I think that was a great thing. That was awesome. I was hooked to that, and I sent it to her. I was like, you got to check this out. And so it was good.
Have you ever been with someone where you tried to do this open communication and they were essentially like appalled by you asking?
Yeah, there are many people at the very beginning, and maybe my delivery was wrong, but like many people were appalled. I never got to the point where I did it. I would bring it up, be like, hey, this is the thing. Like, this is what I think this is cool. But I told you, I was trying to find a sex education partner for so long. I don't have one anymore because the person I'm with, like, is great, and I'm to have that in that person.
Yeah.
But I was single, and I wanted that. I wanted a person that there was no emotion attached. So I got shot down by so many people, like not so many, but 4 or 5 women thought I was the biggest hoe. Appalled. That's the, like, they were so appalled that I would even ask that, like, who do you think I am? Like, because I think it was more of what they thought that would reflect themselves as. Because you can't say, like, we kept it under wraps. Like, the person I did it with, we kept it under tight wraps.
Yeah.
Because, like, then there's all the social sort of, like, judgment, which I don't really care about, but, like, some people do.
Yeah.
Or you don't want to deal with. Or maybe, like, in a future relationship, I don't want people to, like, I don't want that to become an issue where the other person's like, oh, that was your sex education partner?
Yeah,
So
I think honesty, respect, and safety is like the
Honesty,
whole like, holy
Yeah.
trinity. I think is going into a relationship, and it seems like you go into yours like that. So like, yeah,
Yeah. And I, like I said, I haven't figured it out, but I feel like I'm better than I was before, right? Or better than I was yesterday. And so that's all we can do, man, is just kind of get a little bit better each day, and hopefully, we get to a point where we get what we want.
Fred Heads, this episode is brought to you by Own the Chaos Investing. It's an awesome YouTube channel that's built a community, and they are on fire, guys. If you've been thinking about getting your finance game up and want to keep up with stock tips and tricks, give these guys a follow. They will send you a watch list every day for the 5 stocks to watch that day. And you can also check out their Stock Watch Sunday at 7:30. It's a live stream. Join the comments. These people are invested themselves, no pun intended, all right? So once again, this episode is brought to you by Own the Chaos Investing. Thank you very much.